Welcome back to Stars Volta Season 1, Episode 3. We're live on location in beautiful Albuquerque, New Mexico to interview an absolute legend in the game of baseball, a man who has 43 years of coaching experience from high school to junior college, NAIA, and Division I. He's won a national championship. He's been named National Head Coach of the Year several times. He's coached on the collegiate national USA team. He's put 200 players into the MLB. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Coach Ray Birmingham.
Stevie, welcome to New Mexico, buddy.
Thank you. My first time here. Beautiful state, beautiful city. I'm from the Midwest, from Chicago, and lived in Minnesota and now Texas. Very flat. This is something I'm not used to, but very beautiful. And you're a great ambassador of the state of New Mexico and Albuquerque. Tell us what New Mexico and Albuquerque mean to you.
Well, it's the people I've grown up with, and I have a lot of passion for it. I always feel like it's a hidden secret. I think it's always been the underdog. It's not been a wealthy state, nor has it been a highly promoted state. But there's a lot of beautiful things in New Mexico, including the people.
And baseball.
And baseball. And baseball has taken off in the recent decade.
Yeah, and you're a big reason for that, and the big reason why I'm here, sitting here, because you're a legend when it comes to baseball. I first, I guess, came across you by watching a video. Happened to be your retirement video from last year. So last year was your last year as the head coach, but you're still active.
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago. Okay, that's right.
I'm still helping the baseball team with facilities and Coach Brown. I help him a lot with things and questions he has.
Yes.
Try to keep him going. And then I'm involved in the community with children's cancer and ALS and doing positive things for everybody.
Yeah. So baseball's still in your life. You're still impacting this area. But we'll talk about how it all got started. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about back in, it was 1981 when you first started coaching?
Actually, it was in the late 70s. 81 was a state championship year.
Oh, okay. And that was Mayfield High School?
It was. Mayfield High School, and the people at Mayfield High School were really good to me as a young coach. And they let me get after it. And they also pulled the reins in when they needed to pull them in on me. So Las Cruces was really good for me, coaching. And I came from Hobbs, New Mexico, and went to school at New Mexico State. And, I had, when I graduated, I had some football, baseball offers to coach football and coach baseball in Texas and in Oklahoma. And the schools that I was at, baseball wasn't allowed to breathe too much. The people that offered me jobs, because they wouldn't, there was, in Texas, there's 2 seasons, and then everybody else has their seasons.
Yeah.
And it's fall football and spring football.
Yeah.
And everything else is third. So the best offer I had at a place to go coach that they wanted to get after baseball, they had never won a championship or anything, but they had a coach named Bob Ogas, who was a great guy, and he was an ambassador for baseball in New Mexico. He wanted to get after it. So I took that job at Mayfield High School.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of skipped over it. How did you get into baseball before you got into coaching? Who kind of influenced you and taught you the game?
And my dad did, but he comes from my uncle Dick Birmingham, who's since passed away. He was a legendary coach in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
And he also helped in the summertime with a legendary baseball school that was called Mickey Owen. And Mickey Owen had run it, and Mickey Owen was the former catcher for the Red Sox, and so on and on and on. A lot of connections were made through my Uncle Dick, and he was a big-time clinic guy. Bobby Winkles at Arizona State had started baseball, and he asked him to be a pitching coach, but back then the pay in college was worse than high school. So he stayed at high school to make his money because he had a family. So my Uncle Dick and my dad started me in baseball, and I fell in love with it.
Okay. And then, so let's get back into Mayfield High School. What was the state of baseball in that area?
It was better than Hobbs at that time, but it wasn't outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
What you had in New Mexico was the emphasis on football, emphasis on basketball. In the spring, it's cold early, as it is today, but the one that deterrent for most of these guys was spring sports had to play in 30, 40-mile-an-hour winds occasionally and practice in it. So baseball was kind of a stepchild.
Okay.
In football, we rode in a bus and wore coats and wore a lot of special things and ate at a restaurant for a travel game.
Yeah.
And basketball, but in baseball, you took a sack lunch and a yellow dog bus, and you had poor facilities, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but you were able to kind of motivate the kids, use everything that you gained from your mentors to produce a successful team and win the state title in 81.
81, yeah. We became a team, yeah, and I had borrowed a lot of stuff from the coach at Carlsbad High School named Dave Perini. And Dave Perini was a tremendous baseball coach, and he had won the state championship when I was in high school.
Okay.
And he gave me a lot of information and things to do. He was a great motivator. He was a great coach. And I used that template with other information my Uncle Dick in Missouri gave me. And we went on to be the #1 team in the state for a couple of years there, 2 or 3.
Wow. So then 1983, you go to New Mexico Junior College, right? But you're not coaching baseball.
My wife at the time didn't want me coaching anymore because I was too into it. I'd never home. So I went to New Mexico Junior College to be the public relations director.
Okay.
And so I was putting together an athletic program for the junior college, and I went to basketball practice and set the chairs up, put the lighting like you have here up, and got it all set up for photographer for a photo shoot of the individuals and the team picture. And the guys they were, one didn't have a shirt on, untucked, they were undisciplined.
Yeah.
So I let them have it, and I smoked them, and it scared them, and they all got in line and did what I asked them to do. But I acted like a coach. My coaching background went boom. And I went across. I thought, well, I'm gonna get in trouble because I got after him pretty good.
Yeah.
And I went across after I took all the pictures. I went across back campus to the administration building and in my office. Phone rings. The AD calls me. Says I need to talk to you. And I thought, oh, here goes.
Yeah.
So I came back over to the athletic building, and he said, He said, I heard what you did with the basketball team. And I go, oh, here it comes. And I said, I got a little heated. I apologize. And he goes, no, I liked it. That's what our basketball team needs. Our coach is coaching by himself, and he can't do it all. And I'll give you a couple $1,000s to be an assistant basketball coach besides that job you have. I said, I need the money, so yeah, I'll do it.
What did you know about basketball?
0.
So what did they make you coach, or what were you doing
I was
a
I was bad cop.
Okay, just getting them in line, conditioning, all that kind of stuff.
Right, but what I did learn, and we were #1 team in the country by '86.
Wow.
But what I did learn is all those guys could play offense, and not one of them wanted to play defense. And so that's the difference maker. And I watched all those coaches. Mookie Blaylock was in our league.
Wow.
The Johnson kid that played at UNLV and the Charlotte Hornets was in our league.
Wow.
There were a lot of NBA players in our league. Our league was big time because it was the only junior college in the league in the country where they had the nice facilities, they had the nice stuff, and the kids they had a full scholarship and nice meals. So they recruited all over the country, and some of the greatest players in the country were in our league.
Wow, that's crazy. So what do you think you gained from that experience that helped you coach baseball later?
I coached football, I coached baseball, I coached basketball. And, coaches borrow from each other, and we all borrow from each other.
Yeah.
And we all take what we need, and we learn from each other, and blah, blah, blah. So I've learned a lot. Like today, I said we'll be here at 9, and the guy opened the door. We were already in, and he got here at 9:14.
Yeah.
That upsets old school coaches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so
I knew I should be on time when I came today.
Yeah, you say 9, you be here at 15 till 9.
Yeah.
We used to call that Lombardi time, because Vince Lombardi was big on that. We
Yeah.
borrowed it from Vince Lombardi. So I've coached all these sports, and the thing that I've learned is discipline is huge.
Yes.
That team is huge, and that commitment is huge, and all those catchphrases that we've used for decades are huge.
Yeah.
To win.
Yeah.
To win, because you don't have to be the most talented team to win.
Yeah.
But if you're a team, and TEAM, huge, and it's hard to get.
Yeah. So after your run there as a basketball coach, you then made the move to go to the College of Southwest.
They had tried to start baseball, and I was very interested in it, but I was making more money over at New Mexico Junior College, which is across the street. These two schools are across the street.
Oh, really?
A little, yeah. So they came to see me, and they said, "Hey, you did a great job. You used to coach high school baseball." And I go, "I did." And they go, "Would you think about being our head baseball coach?" And I go, "How much are you going to pay me?"
Yeah.
And it was a $10,000 raise. And I go, "I'm in," because $10,000 in 1987 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And so I went over and asked them. They said, "We don't want you to leave." And I go, "I want to coach again." And so it was negotiation, and I went and did it. And it was a wreck.
Yeah.
It was a wreck.
What was the negotiation like with your wife?
That was the hard one.
Had to be the hardest. But
she allowed me to do it.
Okay. She probably saw how passionate you were.
Correct. That's why.
And how were you acting?
The $10,000 raise helped.
That helped too.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
But emotionally, during that period where you weren't coaching baseball, could she see the difference, or did you feel the difference? Was there something missing from you?
Yeah, there was, because I had sent out some feelers to coach baseball again in college. I applied. Golly, the name St. Thomas, or I think it was St. Thomas in Florida.
Okay.
And Cleveland State and places like that. I thought I could get in the door and improve myself. But Paul Maneri, who ended up coaching at LSU, got one of those jobs, and I was in the running. And so I went, golly. And then it worked out. Within 6 months, College of Southwest wanted me. And I lucked out. I don't know. I luck out. I don't know.
Yeah. So you were or were not the first head coach of their program?
No, I was not their first coach.
Okay.
They had a year of absolute shambles. The head coach had quit. They gave it to a kid in town, no discipline, no experience, no nothing.
Yeah.
And it was a wreck.
Okay. So you take over, and I believe your first year was not great, but the second year was, right? Tell us about
so the first year I took over in the summer, like June. And I had to spend most of my attention on fixing a bad, dilapidated. They had a sprinkler system, and they didn't have any grass in the outfield.
Yeah.
And they had quick couplers, impact sprinklers, and the quick couplers were 2 inches above the ground, and the ball hitting the outfield was like bumper pool. It was crazy. They didn't have a way to travel, so I had to get a bus. I had to buy a bus. I didn't have any money.
What?
Yep, that third base dugout had blown over from a high wind. Had to rebuild that. We didn't have any money. You begged, borrowed, and stole. So you were building a field by yourself, and then you had to go find a team by yourself. So
yeah.
That was a hard year. But then by the next year, we got in the top 25 teams in the country, and we're playing DBU.
Yeah.
To go to the national championship.
Yeah, you're ranked 23rd, and this is at the time it was NAIA, right?
Yes.
So you were playing Dallas Baptist, who's now Division I as well. They play in the Missouri Valley
and
Conference.
Grand Canyon and people like that.
Yeah, and so they beat you, and they went to the national championship. So that was
we threw a double play ball away to win the game.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. So following that year, you made the change and you went back. You went back to junior college, right?
They came across the street.
Not far to travel.
A friend of mine, a good close friend of mine, became the AD at New Mexico Junior College, and a new president come in, and he wanted to start baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I got the guy. And he went across the street, and I went to dinner with the president and the AD, and they said, we'll give you a $10,000 raise. So I parlayed $20,000 in 2 years to switch schools.
Yeah. So that was, you're the first ever coach at New Mexico Junior College.
Correct.
Starting in 1990, right?
Right.
1990 to 2007.
Right.
And, what was the state of player, like what kind of players were you getting that first year?
Not very. We had some good players. We had some kids that turned out pretty good.
How do you get them? How do you get a person to go to a program?
We didn't even have a field. Yeah, we didn't have a field. We didn't have a place to stay.
Yeah.
I had to get dorms.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got hired in May, and by September, by late August, I had to figure out a field. I had to figure out where they were going to live. I had to figure out transport. There was a lot.
Yeah.
And so I went out and I recruited 100 kids, because I had to find out. I figured if I have 100, at least I can find 20 decent ones or 30 decent ones in that mix.
Yeah.
And we did. We were okay. We were competitive.
Yeah.
But by the next year, we had jumped into the top 20 teams in the country, because we had time to recruit.
Yeah.
At the same time, we had used field-wise. We used College of the Southwest. Because I fixed all that up.
Yeah.
They allowed me to have duo coordinated practice times with a team over there.
Okay.
I recruited all those guys on that team at CSW.
Mm-hmm.
And I recruited these guys. So from noon to 2 we practiced, and from 2 to 5 CSW practiced.
Wow. And over your time there at New Mexico Junior College, your record was 765 and 255 losses and 2 ties.
Right.
Which is unbelievable. And then there was a span of, I think it was 2000 to 2007, where your record was something like 388 or
that's about right.
388, 88, and 2. And the win percentage was 805. That is absurd. And in that span, you also won a national championship, and then you went to the national championship and lost, right?
Right.
That's unbelievable from a school that had nothing, no field, no team, no players, and you went ahead and did that.
A lot of people chipped in to help me, but I'm a product of a guy in our hometown named Ralph Tasker. I didn't play basketball, but him and I became friends, and I watched him my whole life.
Yeah.
He built a program there that was nationally known for high school basketball.
Yeah.
And then I knew Gene Stevenson recruited my son and was best friends with my uncle Dick.
Yeah.
And they were good friends. And Gene Stevenson at Wichita State, in the coldest part of the country, turned it into a national championship team in the 80s.
Wow.
And it was #1 team in the country a lot.
Yeah.
And I watched him. And then Gary Ward at Oklahoma State, he had been at Yavapai, and he was a New Mexico State grad like myself.
Yeah.
And I followed him and learned from him and watched how he did it. I watched people, and I got to talk to them. And Larry Hayes in Lubbock at Texas Tech, he pretty much built most of that baseball field there.
Yeah.
And guys, back then coaches they didn't mind helping a young dummy like myself, figure it out.
So what was the biggest thing that helped you? There's probably several things, but what was like your main focus of, all right, we're going into a new year, or my team isn't as talented? What was the main coaching tools that you had that made you successful?
There was a guy named Jack Allen at Ranger Junior College that was really helpful to me too, and he's a legend in Texas JUCO. He's like the godfather of Texas JUCO.
Okay. And
Texas JUCO was really, really good. Whoever won that league probably going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
And those guys were in the development. So I had to switch hats. Like I had to teach 6 classes every day too.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm teaching, I'm building, I'm fundraising, I'm driving the bus, I'm coaching, And I did it by myself for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
With a little help from two teachers in campus that would come over and kind of throw BP for me because I couldn't throw BP to 100 people.
Yeah.
So you had to reinvent everything, and you had to work. So work is what it was. You just worked, and you developed. So we played a lot of games. We played a lot in the fall. We played a lot in the spring. And you started seeing kids develop because you played every day.
Yeah.
I wanted you to be tough, so I'd get you up early in the morning and run you at 5:30 in the morning, run you hard.
Yeah.
And if you quit, then you weren't a guy who was going to win anyway.
Yeah.
You quit. And then today it's kind of, to me, a pretty boy sport. Like they got pretty this and pretty that and stats and
bat flips, and long hair.
And cerebral. They're cerebral.
Yeah.
But I thought baseball winners are a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're tough. And so we stick wrestled and boxed for the first couple of weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And they made me stop that a bit.
Yeah.
But guys that were doing it, like Lloyd Simmons at Seminole Junior College was making those guys tough, and Ed Sheff up in Lewis made those guys tough. So that's kind of how I went about it. I thought you had to be a hard-nosed person and I put you through it.
Yeah. Well, the hard work paid off, and tell us about that national championship. It was 2005 or 2006? 2005. Tell me about that season, some of your emotions about winning it and what that felt like. You put in all that work.
Yeah, you seem so far away when you're in Hobbs, New Mexico, which you got to play Dallas, Grayson. You got to play San Jack in Houston. You got to beat, somebody from Phoenix, somebody from Tampa, Florida, St. Petersburg. The big cities all around the country who got all the kids. And you're this little tumbleweed oil field town in the middle. How you going to catch them?
Yeah.
But you figure it out. And, I'd been coaching 15 years by the time I got it done, but we'd been getting close.
Yeah.
But it's, and I've been using that team that won the national championship had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 local kids from the area on it. And I feel like that's huge.
Yeah.
And that made me proud. That made me proud that, Brian Flores from Carlsbad, left-handed pitcher, was player of the year, and he lived, 50 miles from me.
Yeah. And then you produced some players from junior college that went on to the
big
MLB.
Leagues.
Yeah.
They played in the big leagues. Like in 2002 and 2003, 2 New Mexico junior college players were World Series champs, and Brendan Donnelly and Armando Armanza. They were pitchers on those 2 teams.
Wow.
So it was kind of cool.
Incredible. So 2007, you guys lose in the national championship. And then 2008, you go to University of New Mexico. Did any of that, did it just feel like time? Like you won the national championship, you got back? Or
I was retiring. I was at a point in time where I retired. And junior college baseball coach, junior college to me was the best place to coach because development was huge.
Yeah.
And you had all the time in the world, no time constraints, and you just went to work with a bunch of kids who wanted to get better. And there was no pretty boy craziness.
Yeah.
So I liked junior college. I loved it.
Yeah.
But you didn't get paid like you got paid in Division I. So I was going to retire, and I was going to go sell heavy equipment in the oil patch. I wasn't going to coach anymore.
Yeah.
And they called me from here and asked me to come up and interview. And I wasn't sure I wanted a job because this place, no offense, was a shipwreck. And it was just another shipwreck that I'm going, College of Southwest, shipwreck. New Mexico Junior College, nothing.
Yeah.
University of Mexico, terrible facilities, terrible this. They didn't have any money. They didn't have anything. I'm like, what am I doing, man? Am I going to do this again?
Yeah.
And I was 51 at that time. So I thought I needed to make some money, but my passion took over, and I said yes.
You have a type.
I do. I'm not sure it's intelligent type.
But that was kind of shocking when you told me that, was that you came in here in 2008. In 2008, that their facilities were nothing, that you guys were going across the street to...
We were going down to the gas station to go to the bathroom.
That's unbelievable. Like, it's a...
No, It's the way it was.
I mean, for me, just when I think of New Mexico, University of New Mexico, and in that time frame, 2008, I don't think of.
But to dial back to the guys I told you, there was a coach at Miami University that he started the same way.
Yeah.
And Skip Berkman at LSU did the same way.
Yeah.
And Gene Stevenson, Wichita State, and Gary Ward at Oklahoma State, and Bobby Winkles at Arizona State. I mean, there were guys doing it the same way.
Yeah.
Those programs became programs because those guys, Larry Hayes at Tech, and I can go on and on.
Yeah.
They did everything. I was a janitor in this building for a year because I had to clean the toilets.
Wow.
If nobody cleaned the toilets, I'll clean the toilets.
Wow.
But I'm from the generation you did it all.
Yeah. And that seemed to kind of carry over to your players. You didn't have any trouble. Well, you probably did have trouble, but when you're looking at the records of starting this program to become a winning program, it was 30 wins that first season, right? 30 wins the next season, and then you made your first ever NCAA tournament, right?
Yep.
In the school history.
Yep.
How does that happen? A school another school has nothing. You come here. How do you get to 30 wins that first year?
Some junior college kids from Mexico junior college came
there
with me.
you go.
And there were some kids here that were good.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that you would see on most teams, you're going to see that with name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
There's a team, everybody in the country has one guy on their team that can make an impact on anybody's team. And because he's had the opportunity to grow by playing at your school. Now, he's going to leave because somebody's going to see him. And the bigger fish are going to be stealing from Division I, NAIA, Division II. Yeah. It's free agent market, baby.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is that we laugh all the time. Like, you can hear these young coaches go, "Oh, I'm grinding." They got no clue.
Yeah.
They got no clue because they got on a plane and went to a tournament in Carolina.
And they're a little sleepy.
And now, and they're a little sleepy, and they stayed up till midnight talking to players. They're grinding.
Yeah.
Come on, man, you have no clue.
Yeah. So, how long did it take for you guys to, finally get a bathroom, finally get your facilities better? How many 30-win seasons did it take for you guys to upgrade your?
2013 is when we got this bathroom right here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But we had in the center field wall. Well, that's when we built all of this.
Yeah.
Now and then expanded on it, but 2013.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't go across the street to go to the bathroom, and the little bathrooms they had back here were just built in 1962, and they looked like, they'd been in a bombing of Fallujah or something.
Yeah.
And so they didn't work. So we went down there and we stole the key, made a copy, took it back to the guy, and now we had emergency key sitting inside the batting cages that if number 2's coming, grab the key, drive down there, go to the bathroom, and come back.
Wow. Well, that's innovative, and you got to do what you got to do, right?
You got to do what you got to do.
But so when you left New Mexico Junior College, that next year they honored you by naming the field after you. Is that correct?
That was pretty cool. They were nice enough to do that. It took a lot to build it, and when we built it, it doesn't like now. It's probably the best junior college facility in the country. But before that, it looked like I built it. It wasn't that good, but it was good enough.
Yeah.
But and the things we had to do, like when we were playing at College of the Southwest that first year, I was building at night. I was building the baseball field and the after practice over there across the street.
Wow.
So we'd have that facility, and there was a ditch about 15 foot deep and about 15 foot wide that I had to fill in. So, and I guess it's okay now, they can't fire me, but I'd go across the street, buy a hamburger and a 6-pack, and a buddy would drop off a dump truck and a front end loader, and I'd fill in that hole every night by the headlights of my truck.
Wow. Crazy. So back to being at New Mexico, you won, I believe it was 4 Mountain West championships, right? 3 Mountain West tournament championships. You were named Mountain West Coach of the Year, I want to say 3 times. Right. And then you also went into the Hall of Fame for coaching for junior college as well, right? And then by the time 2011 came around, I'm pretty sure that you won your 1,000th game.
It was my 1,000th college game.
College games.
Because remember, I had coached high school and I'd coached American Legion. So I won 1,000 games overall, all my coaching career, back in junior college. But my 1,000th college win was then.
Gotcha. Well, I think it's a perfect time for us to hear a word from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by ProSups and their multi-line of fitness supplements. Two of my favorites are Mr. Hyde's signature pre-workout and Hyde Nightmare. Both pre-workouts give me a clean, sustained energy and help me focus in the gym. If you're looking for more energy and looking to boost your workouts, look no further than ProSups. So then towards the end of your career here at the University of New Mexico.
Right.
Was COVID your last year, or was it?
COVID was the last 2 years. So
last 2 years.
They stopped us in 20.
Yeah.
And then 21, we didn't everybody had it different during COVID. Texas couldn't even tell.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to leave. Our kids didn't leave their apartment.
Wow.
All their strength training and all their learning was in their apartment.
Wow.
Like they told them to do push-ups. And I'm sure I had a bunch of kids doing one-arm push-ups with a beer in the other hand. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really it was a wash.
Yeah.
And I don't even know we were going to get to play.
Yeah.
We practiced for about 2 or 3 weeks in the fall, and they shut it all down because we were a blue state. And it was really shut down.
Wow.
So they sent all the kids home. And I go, Coach, are we going to play in the spring? I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't practiced, no bullpens. We don't know who's who.
Yeah.
We got to, whatever. But I had 4 kids on that team that could get drafted.
Yeah.
And I thought 2 of them, with the right breaks, they'd play in the big leagues. So this would have killed them.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to go beg the president, the governor, to let us play. So I did.
Wow.
And she gave us some stipulations and said, finally, you could play.
So what made that your last season? Why did you make that your last season?
Well, it had to do with I'm going to be 68, okay? And timing's everything, correct? Now, I could have stayed and wait till get a good team and, retire when I had a good team.
Yeah.
But it was silly.
Yeah.
That's ego.
Yeah.
And I said, I've done what I wanted to do. God's been good to me. I don't need to end. My kids will go, you should end on a good season. And I go, no. Yeah. I've got 40 years in the retirement system. That's the max you can get paid for, right? At that time, I'm 66. You probably die about, the average death is 78. So I figure I got 12 years to go see my grandkids and hang out with them and experience some other things and travel with my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go do that.
I mean,
I've given you hell.
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
You gave baseball more than enough. And there's a lot of coaches out there who coach until they're dead, until they die. And that's something, it's like, why wouldn't you want to experience more of life outside of that sport, right? Yeah. And I'm glad that you're able to do that.
Yeah, I don't think baseball, I was lucky. But I don't want just baseball to define me.
Yeah.
I want to be a good person. I want to be an inspiration to others to do good things for everybody else.
Yeah.
And people did that for me.
Yeah.
So why don't I do the same? And I want to take my wife, who's been sitting at home while I'm on the road all the time, I want to take her to see the things. We're going to Italy this fall.
Wow.
And she's Italian and she's happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's great.
But that's why. And me and Coach Anderson at Minnesota and Coach Gutton, Keith Gutton's a great guy.
Yeah.
At Southwest Missouri State.
Yes.
It used to be Southwest. So he is sticking around because he's got to pay for one more kid getting out of school.
Got it.
And then the other thing that came into play for me is culture. And then you see, and we're about to talk about how the culture has changed.
Yeah. So you were able to accumulate 432 wins, the most ever in this college's history. Took them to their first NCAA tournament, won all those Mountain West championships. You were sitting in this facility that you basically built and that field out there, which is amazing. You've done your part, I would say, for not only this university, for all those other universities or colleges that you're at as well, and the many kids that came through. You produced 200 kids went to the major leagues. 32
got drafted.
Got drafted. Okay, got drafted. And Mitch Garver was one of them, and also kids that weren't even in this program. Alex Bregman.
Yep.
Tell us how you met him, or how he met you, actually.
When I came here, when I saw you and you said you wanted to do this and you told me your story, Alex Bregman's passionate people. Stevie, you're passionate. And there are not that many passionate people. Somebody will tell them a roadblock and they'll say, okay, never mind. You don't.
Yeah.
He didn't either.
Yeah.
So he was a 8th grader, came to baseball camp, and man, the energy level on that kid, which I've seen on the great ones, is off the charts. And he's smart. He's hardworking. He wants to be that, and he'll do whatever it takes to do it. A lot of people talk it, but not a lot of people walk it.
Yeah.
And so when I met him, I said, I had a speech about you have to decide if you want to be great. You can't be average. You choose to be average. You choose to whatever you get in life. You pretty much chose that.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a Major League Baseball player, you better choose right now. And I mean really choose. And it inspired him. And so he said, little bitty kid, little skinny kid, says, I want to be a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
And I didn't discourage him, but I thought the odds were – he proved me wrong, man.
Yeah.
And he's that guy, and he's from that generation that appreciated a coach helping him.
Yeah.
Which you don't see as much anymore.
So, local kid. He started hitting the scene sophomore year of high school, got national attention. I think he won National Player of the Year, Silver Slugger. Junior year, senior, obviously outstanding. He wanted to come here. He wanted to be coached by you, but the facilities weren't.
They were terrible.
weren't up to par.
We didn't even have a pooper.
And that's the whole reason. Alex Bregman said, no, I don't want to go. There's no pooper. But
well, his daddy wanted him to go to LSU. His daddy's really a smart guy and a good friend of mine and a great human being. And he said, for your career to get where you want to go, you need to go to LSU. And so he did.
But he still stayed in contact with you?
Oh, yeah. He was still a Lobo.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a picture on the wall in here as he's the bat boy for the University of New Mexico.
No way.
His daddy dropped him on the bus at 10 years old, give him pocket money, and send him off. He'd sleep on the floor.
Oh, my gosh.
On road games in a motel.
That's someone who was destined to play. He loved it.
He's amazing, man. I love him immensely. He's inspirational to me.
And he's mentioned you in interviews on national TV that you were a big part of his development.
I've been lucky to be around these kind of people. I don't know why. I mean, Tony Gwynn was really good to me. And we'd sit in the batting cage when they come to play us the night before the series would start and talk hitting. And he's walking around showing me. He says, what do you do? And I go, Tony, I teach it. You did it. And he goes, well, there's a big difference, and you're better at teaching it than I am. And I go, well, I wish I could hit like you. But what a great human being.
Yeah.
And he did hours. He would talk about ball and stories.
Yeah.
Spin off the baseball and being very meticulous and repeating the swing.
Yeah.
How lucky am I?
That's nuts. But I know there's a reason he gravitated towards you. Like what you've done for your baseball teams, like the averages that you guys produced was nuts. I think you led the nation, I want to say like at least 3 times in batting average. One was like the team averaged like 363 here, right?
Here was 363.
363.
Junior college was the national record we hold is 438. Yeah, that was stupid. We'd had all our pitchers signed pro that summer, so we only had like one pitcher.
Oh my God.
So we better hit.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't have up and down the lineup guys who can just naturally hit. What did you especially?
I did what somebody taught me to do, and so Jay Ward was a hitting coach in the big leagues, and a friend of my Uncle Dick, and an acquaintance of mine. And he helped me a lot. And shortening the swing, and staying on line, just all the basics that everybody teaches. Nobody's a guru.
Yeah.
Come on, man, just do the thing. Bregman's short. He's short as he learned it. He's as short as can be. He learned how what body parts give you power. He knew where to move. He was a student of the game. He bought in.
Yeah.
And it paid off for him. And these other guys did too. And they don't buy in now because when you get a kid now, I used to be the only guy that ever taught him hitting. Now, by the time I get him, 15 guys have talked to him about hitting and showed him all kinds. They're a mess.
Yeah.
They're a mess. They're a mental mess.
So that's a good segue into our next topic, is the culture and baseball itself as a whole from now and then when you were coaching it back in the day and when you played through it. So it seems that the MLB has a big initiative to gain more viewers, to make the game more compact, easier to watch, changing the formula of what made baseball good, at least what I
agree.
I feel. But baseball in its purest form is, I would say, the early days. Now it's changed a lot, and we'll get into one of the things that has changed. So one of them is playing small ball, stealing bases, and it seems that more people are going for the long ball, and there's more strikeouts. So a crazy stat, 1982, Ricky Henderson, you might know him. He was a good baseball player.
He was one of the most highly recruited football running backs in the country at the time, too, coming out of high school.
I had no idea. Wow. Well, he definitely could run. So 1982, he stole 130 bases. Record, 130 bases. Last year, MLB, the team that had the most steals as a team was the Texas Rangers. They had 128, 2 less than one guy. And some of the reasons that people are saying that it's changed is because of people's thought of analytics. And Moneyball, the book, came out in 2003. Didn't have much of an impact on the whole landscape of baseball, the book, but the movie came out in 2011. And in 2011 and 2012, the total steals for Major League Baseball was around 3,200 steals. So then 2013 rolls around, and the average drops about 800 steals to 2,600 steals. And then last year, it was at 2,400 steals. People aren't stealing because they think that the percentage of getting caught stealing is too high, and that they'd rather just swing for the fences and try to drive them in that way. Tell me your thoughts about analytics.
So Joe Madden. Joe Madden used to coach in Midland, Texas. I used to go watch him coach over in Midland, Texas.
Really?
So he said about these analytics when he asked those guys, he had 12 guys in every front office doing analytics.
Yeah.
And he said, I'd ask them what time it was, and they'd tell me how to build a watch. So he says, taking over too much.
Yeah.
It's way out of control. And, you know, we've heard the stories of front office, and there's been a lot. I've heard all the complaining about it, too, from the scouts and the guys in the front office, and the guys I know in pro baseball, which is a bunch, that the Ivy League mentality is taking over baseball, and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And we still need nicknames. We still need Catfish Hunter, Oil Can Boyd, Blue Moon Odom.
Yeah.
We still need some of that Shoeless Joe Jackson. We cherish that. We still need that. They're doing some things now that are entertaining, which I agree. You know, entertainment is part of the entertainment. But they're tinkering with a game is sometimes only by statistics and not by the semantics of the game. You know, you go into a restaurant because statistically they have great food, but the ambiance is important too. And the history is important too, and the feel is important too. And coaches can coach, and they're not getting to coach. Case in point, we went to see Bregman play in World Series Game 1 and 2 in Houston. Now there was a conversation made, and I don't know how it transpired, but I can almost guess. There was a conversation made in Game 1 about we had watched Altuve strike out and not get any hits. Because what's Altuve doing now that he didn't do in his first of his career? Trying to hit home runs. Because didn't he
muscle up?
Because he led the league in hitting every year for almost like 2 or 3 years, didn't he? All right. So now he's not even putting the ball in play. We just need to dribble one to second, score a guy from third, and he left him there. So there was a conversation made with some people because these people are all now individual units. The team has to be built by somebody on the team.
Yeah.
Like the coach can get in trouble by butting in on Altuve and his agent and his handlers and all that. Every one of them have it. Somebody said something to Altuve. The next night he went 3 for 4, I think, and hit some balls the other way. A player did.
Yeah.
You can guess who that player is.
Bregman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the leadership within the clubhouse is huge. Bregman's that leader in that clubhouse. And so that's what has to happen because a coach, he's in a different dynamic than a player. Because a player can get you fired by tomorrow morning. And that didn't used to happen.
So what do you think the difference is from coaching let's say the pros, college, junior college, high school? Where is the change? How much different is it as you go? And let's speak upon your experience from going from high school, junior college.
My era of coaching is gone, and it'll be gone forever, I think. You put yourself in danger if you're hard-nosed. My teams were in 52 brawls in my career, 43 years of coaching, 52 brawls. How did I luck out and get that, right? Now, some were big ones, some were small ones, some were little ones, whatever, but there were 52 altercations. Should I still be coaching? No. Today? Nah.
Yeah.
They'd already vilified me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's people want you to win. Like that's the number one thing. If you don't win, you don't produce for the school. And if you're getting paid for it, you get fired, right? But they don't want to know. Well, now they want to have control of how you get those wins. But the thing is, if you want to be successful, you got to do some things that are going to fire them up, some things that maybe they're not going to like. But that's why you're the coach and they're the fans, right? That's how you get wins.
Right.
So if they know so much and they want you to soften up, they should just expect losses to come, right?
Yeah, well, it's not that way.
Yeah.
But you wanted to coach. I spent a lot of time going to hear Hank Aaron talk. I spent a lot of time going to every American Baseball Coach Association meeting to hear guys' ideas. I called guys. I drove to their wherever they were, got a hotel room and drank beer with them, and I listened. And now they don't want me to share it because they've already been coached by the time they get to you. They've been coached by 10 people. They paid for it.
Yeah.
And they've paid for what they think they want to do. They're just plugging into your team.
Yeah.
And they don't want to change.
Yeah.
They don't want to adapt. They don't want to hear what you have to say. And I've heard that from all the guys, the coaches at big schools that have won national championships, and they're frustrated because they wanted to coach.
Yeah.
But now they'll tell you that at one time it was 40%, 50% recruiting, and 50% development.
Yeah.
Okay? And then it moved to 60-40, and now it's like 90-10. And hopefully you can talk them into it, and hopefully you can get them there, because they all want to get drafted. And drafts priority number one. They'll tell you otherwise. Drafts priority number one.
Yeah.
And then the school's number two. The school's number two, and then, I might chip in, but they're not going to be at a school 4 years.
Yeah.
They're not going to be 1 3 years now. The good ones.
Yeah. So, how many Alex Bregmans do you think are out there?
A ton.
A ton.
But they have to go where they develop. Division I's not the best place to develop. Junior college. If these drills and these cool drills and these cool videos and these cool new dynamic things that you can buy online, if they made you a good ball player, then why wouldn't minor leagues just go, okay, we're not going to invest in these teams to play games all year long and get better. We're just going to put you on these drills.
Yeah.
We're just going to put you in front of this video game.
Yeah.
It's not true. You got to play a lot. The game is the best teacher.
Yeah.
The game teaches you. And you'll figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, then you're probably not going to make it.
In your mind, who's the best college coach?
There's a lot of good college coaches. They're just in different positions in different places. But, sometimes they're so hungry to be a national champion, they know that where they're at's not going to get them there because of some location. They used to say recruiting is like real estate, location, location, location.
Yeah.
And facilities. Everybody's getting these huge facilities and a pitching lab and a hitting lab. We're working at NASA? What are we doing? This is baseball.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening now to attract the best players, because recruiting is way important now.
Yeah.
The biggest important thing.
Well, on that note, tell me a little bit. You've coached all over the world. Tell me a little bit about the Latin players, the people who come from dirt poor playing stickball.
So you see that.
Yeah.
And that's a great point, because they're playing. I saw Christian Lindor way back. Francisco Lindor way back, because the Lindors were playing for me at New Mexico Junior College. Oh. And when I saw him when he was 12, I tried to put him in my suitcase and bring him back to Hodge. He can play right now. But those guys they're in the Caribbean. I would go to the Caribbean, and I knew I could get a catcher. I could get a ready to go. Those catchers down there are good. Pudge was down there. They're great catchers.
Yeah.
And middle infielders, they're really good. That's what they want to be. So you want to go get a shortstop or a good catcher, they're ready. They're like walking into Walmart and buy one. They're good.
Yeah.
You don't have to do much. But everywhere else, you had to go get them somewhere else.
Yeah.
But the Caribbean, Venezuela, I had players from Venezuela. Elvis Andrus, I saw him. His best friend played for me.
Yeah.
Rini Osuna. They were automatic. They ate, drank, and slept. It's a religion for them. And they're going to learn how to do it by watching. And they have the worst circumstances to do it in, and they can get it done.
Yeah.
So, the Caribbean players, man, I love them.
Yeah, and tell me what you think baseball needs. What does baseball need now more than ever?
Baseball still needs some old school. It still needs to be let them play. Let them play.
Yeah.
And does it need to shorten for today's world? Because today's world is, I've only got so much time. It's faster now.
Yeah.
Everything's faster. Give me my food fast. Let me go fast. Let me get there fast. We're plugging a lot more into a day than we've ever done in our life.
Yeah.
Our pace is bigger. So it needs to figure out a way to shorten the games. But the way they're going about it, make it a 7-inning ball game.
Yeah.
Quit doing this other stuff.
That actually is a good solution. Keep everything that made baseball great.
Just make it a 7-inning ball game.
Make it 7 innings.
2 sevens.
Yeah.
We'll have 7 in the morning, 7 at night, whatever you want to do. But don't do 9.
Yeah.
Fast pitch softball, 7 innings.
Yeah.
And they work fast. I played fast pitch softball at a high level. Hit a home run off of King in the Court, the King guy.
Yeah.
I loved it. You could play 5 fast pitch softball games in one day because they got the ball through strikes,
Yeah.
And it was quick. It was 7 innings. The longest part of any baseball game is the 8th and 9th.
Oh, yeah.
And stop all these other silly rules.
Yeah.
Make it a 7-inning ball game.
Yeah. Two of the rules coming into MLB this year is the pitch count.
Yeah.
So now pitch count is 15 seconds, and then if there's a runner on base, it's 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then the wildest rule that they're putting in, which I wouldn't be surprised if they take it out in a year or two, is that a pitcher can only throw over to a base where a runner is twice. Or it's not just throw over, it's step off too. So twice. And if you step off or throw the third time, you can throw the third time, but if you do not get that runner out, he gets the next base, which means there's got to be a whole lot more steals, which I enjoy steals. I love watching that. That brings back some of the small ball kind of stuff, and will keep guys in the league longer, a Billy Hamilton. But the bases are now larger too. One is for safety, so they're going from 15 inches to 18, so first baseman doesn't get stepped on, but that also makes the distance shorter to steal.
We used to do 18 bases for kid camp.
Oh, well, yeah, these...
We're going to kid camp. That's what we're doing.
We're going to kid camp. But now there's no shift, right? The shift is gone. And I think that brings back to another point is they're only doing that because guys can't hit.
Let them shift.
Yeah, let them shift.
You know what you do?
You hit the other way.
And here's how you fix that. All that. Now, the hit and run's a strategic part of the game. I heard Scott Brocious talk about He swore to God that Tony Gwynn changed his swing on a hit and run because he saw the people move during the pitch and hit the ball the other way or pulled it. And he never pulled it. He always hit it the other way.
Yeah.
And he pulled it because he saw the second baseman move for the first time. And he went, that skill set, work at it, become that guy. And you can hit the ball anywhere you want to. But because of home run and power baseball has become way too important, that's another thing I'd say. Make the ballparks bigger where power baseball isn't that important. A hit and run, handling a bat. I used to love to watch Butler play. Rhett Butler played for the Dodgers, really fast, bunter, hit 3-something every year, flip it over third baseman's head. So make the ballpark bigger.
Yeah.
Make the ballpark bigger. They've always tinkered with the mound. They've made the mound really tall, Bob Gibson days. They made the ball deader. They've made the mound. They made this. The speed time, when you're talking about Ricky Henderson, AstroTurf had come into play now, and guys were faster. So speed was big with the Cardinals back then. All those guys stole the bases. So I've watched the history of baseball, and I've studied it all the way back to Joe Birmingham of the Birmingham clan, coached the Cleveland Indians with Napoleon LaJoie. So they were split grip. So there's to say that it's new and this is the only way, there's been a million ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining. And we need to have those conversations because there's some guys that are making decisions on this game that never played, never were involved, but they're statisticians.
Yeah.
And they went to an Ivy League school.
Yeah. So the Orioles decided to go away from what your thoughts were. They moved left field in by a bunch. I think that they're going to continue to glorify the home run, which is great. Everybody loves seeing home runs, but the fact that a major league player is up and they shift when they shifted, let's say to the right, and third base, that whole side is open, and he can't lay down a bunt or hit the opposite way is kind of alarming.
It's true, because here's what I'm going to tell you. You can learn that. Because I know you can learn all this, because Mike Schmidt wasn't a great hitter. Jay Ward and some of those guys that taught Mike Schmidt how to hit, he was the best hitter in the 80s, one of the best by far. He learned how to hit. And Aaron Judge only hit 18 home runs in 3 years in the Mountain West where the ball carries. So somebody in the end, I know who it was, they taught him how to hit homers.
Yeah.
And he was a diver. He changed his swing. He made an adjustment. You will make adjustments how the game goes. But tinkering with a game by some of this is going to turn a lot of people off too.
Yeah.
It's not just entertainment.
Yeah.
I see those, no offense, that's what they're doing to have fun. But the banana team,
they're making. I just read something about them. One good thing about that, some ticket. I don't know if it was Ticketmaster or someone tried to give the owner $1 million for the tickets.
Right.
He turned it down because he didn't want a third party to raise the tickets on people. And there's a high wait list, but he wants people to pay to get entertainment, but pay at a cheap price because. They're not pros or anything, but that's the one good thing about it. But that banana team, it's all about entertainment. Yes,
and they're entertaining.
Yeah,
they're getting it done.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
but that's not competitive baseball.
Yeah. So we'll see if things change in baseball. College baseball itself is growing itself. Let's see what happens with the MLB and. I think that we should have another conversation. This is great. I appreciate the hospitality.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here.
You're a legend.
You called me, I went, wow, man, okay, sure.
You're a legend. Thank you so much for your time.
Stevie, you got passion, man. Anything I could do to help you, I'm all about you young guys getting what you want out of life, so I'm here.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everybody for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.